3 days before I was supposed to get married, I received a video that shattered my life. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was my fiancée, the woman I loved for 6 years, in a hotel room with 2 men, laughing, posing for the camera, and saying, "What happens in San Diego stays in San Diego, right?" That 3-minute video rewrote our entire history. What I did next made my entire family think I had lost my mind. But I wasn't crazy, I was betrayed. My name is David, I'm 33, and last weekend was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, I watched everything crumble just days before I said, "I do." We'll call her Natalie, she's 30, gorgeous, warm, someone I once thought I'd grow old with. We were together for almost 6 years. Lived together for 5. We built a life I thought was unbreakable. 2 weekends before the ceremony, she flew to San Diego for her bachelorette trip. 7 friends, a beach house, a long weekend of clubs and cocktails. Nothing unusual. I even drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to enjoy herself. We trusted each other completely, at least I thought we did. While she was gone, I tied up wedding details, picked up my tailored suit, and planned a little surprise gift for her on our honeymoon. She texted me every day from that trip, how much fun they were having, how much she missed me, how she couldn't wait to be my wife. Nothing felt off, until it did. She came back on a Sunday evening. Looked tired, maybe a little hungover, but happy. We ordered takeout, watched an old episode of The Office, and went to bed. I held her that night and felt normal. Calm. Until Wednesday. That's when the text came, from an unknown number, no name, just words that still make my stomach turn. "You should know what your fiancée did in San Diego. She's not who you think she is." It included a video. I nearly deleted it, thinking it was spam. But something inside me, instinct, dread, I don't know, made me watch it. What I saw destroyed me. Natalie. With 2 guys. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't coerced. She was laughing, moaning, encouraging them. She looked right into the camera and smiled, like it was a joke. Like I didn't exist. For the next 12 hours I didn't speak. I didn't sleep. I couldn't breathe. I locked myself in our guest bedroom and told her I had a migraine. I called my best friend Carter the next morning and showed him the video. He watched in silence and then whispered, "Bro, this isn't something you come back from." He was right. Thursday, while she was out finalizing her dress fitting with her mom, I started packing. Just the essentials. Left a note on the kitchen table with her engagement ring and house key. "I know what happened in San Diego. The wedding is off." Then I disappeared. Moved in with Carter. Shut off my phone. I couldn't deal with the fallout, not yet. I wasn't ready to hear her voice, not after hearing her laugh like that in the video. When I finally turned my phone back on Saturday morning, the day we were supposed to stand at that altar, I had 52 missed calls. Natalie, her mom, her best friend, even our officiant. The messages ranged from desperate to enraged. "Where are you? Please just talk to me. It was a mistake. You coward! Please, David, please." Her parents called me cruel and childish at first. Then, when she told them what happened, their tone changed. Suddenly, everyone was shocked. Everyone was silent. I sent one message to every guest we invited. "Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding has been cancelled. Apologies for the inconvenience." Then I sent one final message to Natalie. "There's nothing left to talk about. It's over." She keeps trying to reach me. Shows up at my new place. Emails me. Has friends call. Says it was peer pressure. That she was drunk. That she barely remembers. But I remember every frame of that video. And I'll never forget the way she smiled at the camera, like I was already a joke she'd outgrown. And the worst part? I'm starting to believe that smile was the most honest thing she ever gave me. I thought I'd seen the worst of it. I thought the video was the end of the story. But I was wrong. The woman I thought I was going to marry didn't just cheat. She choreographed it. And what I learned next made everything 10 times more disturbing. It had been 4 days since I disappeared from my own wedding plans. I hadn't seen Natalie. I'd blocked her on everything. But she still found me. She showed up outside Carter's apartment, mascara streaked, hair tied up in a messy bun, and a suitcase by her side. I almost didn't let her in. But Carter was getting complaints from neighbors, and frankly, I was tired of hiding from the disaster she created. So I opened the door. She stood in the doorway for a full second before launching into a shaky, gasping apology. Said it was a mistake. That she was drunk, that it didn't mean anything. You could tell she'd rehearsed every word of it. And the whole time, she kept reaching out, trying to hold my hand. I wouldn't let her. That's when things turned. I asked her flatly, "Who sent me the video?" She paused. Blinked. "I don't know." She lied. Try again. Eventually, the truth came out in fragments. One of the guys in the video, Nick, had a girlfriend. A serious one. Apparently, Nick had bragged to his friends about the wild bachelorette hookup in San Diego. His girlfriend found the video on his phone. Furious, she did some digital detective work, figured out who Natalie was, and sent me the clip anonymously. Whoever she is, I owe her my freedom. That's when Natalie started unraveling. The more she talked, the more cracks appeared. She admitted that it wasn't just a one-time, drunken mistake. The guys weren't strangers. They had met them the first night in San Diego and spent most of the weekend with them. Drinks. Flirting. Dancing. Planning. She said the threesome was spontaneous. But when I pressed her, she admitted to kissing one of them the night before. Then later, we made out in the hotel pool, too. By the end of the conversation, I'd counted 5 different moments where she could have stopped herself. She never did. And the worst part? Her friends, her bridesmaids, the women who were supposed to stand beside her at the altar, cheered her on. One of them even filmed it. Smiling. Laughing. Hyping her up like it was some reality show challenge instead of a betrayal that would detonate my life. These weren't just strangers to me. These were women I'd gone on double dates with. Hosted for game nights. Toasted champagne with. Women who'd called me family. Now they were accessories to the most humiliating moment of my life. I asked Natalie, "You think this is normal? You think this is how people act before their wedding?" She sniffled, wiped her nose, and said words I'll never forget. "It's not like I love them. It was just a final fling. Everyone does it." That's when I lost it. I laughed. Not the kind of laugh you want to hear. It was bitter and loud and sharp. I leaned in and whispered, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't have invited 2 strangers into our future." She broke down, sobbing. But I wasn't moved. Because then she said something that chilled me. "You'll regret throwing this away over one mistake." It wasn't remorse. It was a threat. And just like that, the stories she told everyone changed. Overnight I became emotionally abusive, controlling, and cruel. She said I ghosted her, left her broken without a word. Some of our mutual friends, people who knew better, still sided with her. Said I should at least hear her out. But what none of them saw, what only I knew, was that this wasn't one bad night. This was a pattern of choices. A weekend of betrayal wrapped in a smirk and filmed like a highlight reel. The emotional whiplash was unbearable. I'd go from furious to numb in seconds. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I started therapy, desperate to keep myself from spiraling. But even there, the video haunted me. 3 minutes and 47 seconds that rewired my brain. And then came the first real twist. One of Natalie's bridesmaids, let's call her Jess, called me. She was shaking. "I didn't know they were filming it," she said. I wasn't okay with what happened. Not all of us were. And then a pause. "David, this isn't the first time." That sentence hit me like a train. When Jess told me it wasn't the first time, something inside me snapped. Not from anger, but from clarity. It was like I had spent 6 years trying to complete a puzzle, and now I was finally holding the piece that made all the others fit. I asked her, "What do you mean this isn't the first time?" Jess hesitated. "There was someone. About 2 years ago. A coworker. They hooked up after an office Christmas party. Everyone knew. But Natalie made her friends promise not to tell you. She said it was just a one-time thing, that she regretted it, that you were already stressed with work and it wouldn't help to bring it up." I don't remember the rest of that call. I just remember staring at the floor in Carter's apartment for what felt like hours, playing back years of conversations. Every late meeting. Every sudden girls' night. Every moment she looked at me and smiled like she had nothing to hide. And then I remembered something from when I was 16. It was my mom. She was sitting at the kitchen table crying. She thought I was asleep, but I'd come down for water and heard her on the phone with my aunt. "He did it again, Lori. He went to that woman's house again. And I let him back in this morning like nothing happened. My dad, the man I once thought was a hero, had cheated on her for years. And she knew. She just pretended she didn't. For the family. For me. I remember standing in the hallway, frozen, thinking, I'll never let that happen to me. I'll never be that man. I'll never love someone who lies to my face and still sleeps beside me like everything's okay. Now here I was. 33. A week past what should have been my wedding. And I was that man. The one who'd been lied to. Repeatedly. Quietly. With a smile. Natalie had built a world with me, one where I believed we were partners. But in reality? She was playing dress up with her vows, pretending fidelity was a fashion statement she could take off on vacation weekends. And it didn't stop there. Jess told me about the San Diego weekend in more detail than I was ready for. The guys weren't random. Natalie had exchanged numbers with one of them after the first night. She texted him during brunch the next day. They planned it. It wasn't even a drunken mistake, it was logistics. A calendar invite. And her friends were in on it. Not all of them, Jess said. But enough. Enough to laugh about it later. Enough to film it. That detail still makes my skin crawl. It made me question every memory. The engagement parties she insisted be small and private. The out-of-town trips she took to clear her head. Even the times we'd been intimate, and she seemed distant, I used to blame myself. Maybe she was tired. Maybe I wasn't enough. But now I knew. She was just somewhere else. With someone else. When I confronted her with what Jess told me, she exploded. "You're taking her word over mine!" she screamed. "I'm taking the truth over everything you've ever said," I answered. She cried, of course. Talked about the pressure. How she was scared of settling down. How it was just a panic response. I didn't say a word. I just stood up, walked to the door, and said, "You don't get to call it a mistake if it's a pattern." She looked stunned. Like I'd hit her with a language she didn't understand. Like no one had ever held her accountable before. And just as I closed the door, she whispered the words that haunted me more than the video ever could. "I thought you were stronger than this." That's when I realized something terrifying. Natalie never loved me. Not really. She loved the way I made her feel. Safe. Covered. Stable. Like a child loves a night light. But me? I was just a set piece in her fantasy. A husband-shaped prop. A placeholder until she figured out what she really wanted. And now, all I wanted was to be free of her. 2 months after I left Natalie and the wreckage of our almost wedding behind, I had started to feel okay. Not great. But stable. I was going to therapy. I was working out again. I had even planned a hiking trip to Montana, just to be alone with my thoughts and the trees. Then she showed up. At my door. Clearly pregnant. I remember the way she looked, hair pulled back in a lazy braid, oversized hoodie barely hiding the bump. Her eyes were swollen. Not just from crying, she looked exhausted, hollow. But she still had that same steel in her voice when she said, "We need to talk." I didn't want to let her in. Every instinct in me said, don't do this. But I opened the door anyway. She sat on the edge of my couch like she was afraid to break it. Then she dropped the bomb. I'm pregnant. And it's yours. My stomach turned. I didn't even respond at first. Just stared at her. She nodded, slowly. About 4 months along. I'm due in early March. I know you probably don't believe me, but remember? We slept together the night before my trip. You even made that stupid joke about joining the Mile High Club on your own. She was right. We had. I had pushed the memory down so deep, I'd almost forgotten. Still, the math didn't add up. Or maybe it did. I couldn't think clearly. I want a paternity test, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. That's when she snapped. You're insulting me again. Like everything I say is a lie. I'm carrying your child and you want paperwork? I didn't even flinch. After everything you've lied about? Yeah. I want proof. She left in a storm of slammed doors and muttered curses. For the next week, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing this tiny version of me in the world, tied to her. The woman who filmed her betrayal. Who laughed at our vows before she even said them. And yet, if the baby was mine, I wouldn't walk away. I always wanted to be a dad. But not like this. Not with her. The next few weeks were chaos. Her family came back into the picture, loudly. Her mom called me crying. Her dad sent a voicemail calling me a coward and a failure as a man. I kept all the messages, all the threats, all the manipulations. And then came the second twist. A bridesmaid named Lexi, one I had blocked early on, got in touch. She wanted to meet. Said it was about the baby. I agreed to coffee in a public place. She showed up nervous, with a tremble in her hands and a long exhale before speaking. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't know it would go that far. But I need you to know something. Lexi told me that Natalie had been using cocaine during the San Diego trip. That several of the bridesmaids had. That they weren't just drinking, they were spiraling. Natalie had slept with one of the guys the night before the video. And yes, the baby might be his. She even admitted. This wasn't the first time she cheated. There was a guy from work about a year ago. And another before that. I only know about those because she bragged about it after drinks once. But I think there might be more. That's when it hit me. I didn't just dodge a bullet. I had escaped a ticking time bomb. A week later, I finally confronted Natalie about everything. About the coke. About the past affairs. About the possibility that the baby wasn't mine. She didn't deny it. She just broke down. I didn't want to believe it either. She whispered. I kept telling myself it was yours because that meant I still had a future with you. She was sobbing. But I didn't comfort her. Not this time. I told her the truth. Even if the baby is mine, you and I are done. We'll figure out co-parenting if we have to. But it's dead. The silence that followed was heavy. She nodded. Quiet for once. I filed the paperwork to legally request a paternity test the next day. And then I waited. The envelope sat on my desk for an hour before I opened it. Thin paper. Basic font. Just a few lines that would either tie me to Natalie forever or release me completely. My hands were shaking as I read it. Probability of paternity, 0%. The baby wasn't mine. I should have felt nothing but relief, but what I actually felt was something deeper. Something final. Like standing over the ashes of a house you once lived in. You're not sad it burned down. You're just stunned that you lived there for so long and didn't see the smoke. When I told Natalie the result, she didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just stared ahead, numb. Then she said something that surprised me. I already knew. She told me she had reached out to both of the guys from San Diego. One never responded. The other, the married one, confirmed that he never used protection, despite telling her he had. She said she had just hoped. Wished it into being mine. Because the alternative terrified her. What came next? That's where everything changed. I told her I knew about the coworker. The one from the Christmas party. She denied it, of course. But after a long pause, she caved. Said it was just physical, that it meant nothing. And that she didn't want to hurt me by telling me. Then I asked the question I'd never dared ask before. Were there others? She hesitated. Looked down. Then whispered, one more. About a year into our relationship. Another mistake. That made 3 confirmed betrayals. At least 3. Each one carefully hidden. Each one packaged in smiles and I love yous and birthday presents and New Year's kisses. And the terrifying part was this: if the anonymous girl hadn't sent me that video, I would have married her. I would have spent my life with someone who looked me in the eye and promised forever, knowing damn well she was lying. Natalie finally admitted she had spiraled. That she never understood love. That what I gave her felt like safety, but she never knew how to receive it without destroying it. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then she said something that sealed it. I thought having your baby would fix us. I thought you'd come back if you believed we had a future. That wasn't love. That was manipulation with a heartbeat. I left that meeting feeling light. Not happy, but clear. The man who once doubted every decision he made now knew exactly who he was. In the months that followed, Natalie's world collapsed further. Her family, once so loud and judgmental, went silent. The baby's actual father, Nick, the married guy, was confirmed through a second test. He agreed to minimal court-ordered child support but refused involvement. His wife filed for divorce. Natalie became a single mother with no support system, no friends, and no real job stability. I didn't rejoice in her downfall. But I didn't save her either. Some people drown because they can't swim. Others drown because they set fire to the boat. I stayed focused on rebuilding. I moved into a new apartment. Took the trip to Montana I had postponed. Spent hours under open skies thinking about what love really meant, what trust really required. And slowly, piece by piece, I began to feel like myself again. Then something unexpected happened. I ran into her. Not Natalie. Her, the woman who sent me the video. Her name was Eva. We met accidentally at a wedding Carter dragged me to 6 months later. Turns out, she was a friend of the groom's cousin. I recognized her voice before I recognized her face. We talked for hours. She told me about her breakup with Nick. How betrayed she felt. How lonely she'd been after walking away from a man who made her feel like she was crazy until the evidence was undeniable. I told her about my story. The pain. The loss. The healing. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. We're not rushing anything. We've been on a few dates. She gets it. She gets me. And every time I look at her, I'm reminded of something I learned the hard way. Love isn't found in words. It's found in actions, and who still shows up when the camera isn't rolling. I thought the video I received that night ruined my life. But maybe, it saved it.